Welcome to Fantasy Football Hub for the next episode in the My Team series. Today it is the turn of Seb Carmichael Brown, who's going to be revealing his current FPL draft. Now, you may know Seb as the commercial director of #United. The men's team are about to start their season in step 3 of non-league, one below the conference. And amazingly, the women's team have just been promoted as well. They're in Division 3, 2 steps below the WSL. Seb also has a YouTube channel, Seb on Golf, with almost 150,000 subscribers. But most importantly, he's very, very good at Fantasy Premier League. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, Seb. How are you doing? You excited for the new season? Good to chat to you, mate.
Likewise, Jack. Likewise, we've had some head-to-heads in the little YouTuber league over the last few years. And yeah, I love talking about my FPL. Absolutely love it. I dipped out for quite a while this summer because I go pretty hard when it comes around. But the last few days I've started messing around more seriously. I have just upgraded my hub membership, so I'm now fully tiered up. So I've been getting in and doing a few bits, messing around with some stats, doing some forward transfer planning and whatnot. And it's full systems go over here at Cam Carmichael Brown.
Well, there you go. I mean, you're making my job very easy for me. Seb absolutely loves it. I get some guests on that are more kind of fun guests, you know. They love football, but they don't know about fantasy as much.
It's not fun.
Well, no.
It's not fun. This is serious.
That's what I want to make abundantly clear. Seb takes this very, very seriously. We have FPL experts on. Seb is in that category. Tell the people, where have you finished in the past? You take this very, very seriously, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I do, but I don't. Like, I have fun
I know
with
you mean.
it. I like to take punts. I like to get a little bit frisky. But I do just love it. Like, that's the main thing, is I absolutely love it. Like, I genuinely say, and people go mad at me for this, my football interest is #United, my FPL team, then West Ham.
Wow.
I make no shame about it. Like that's just the order for me. I love when I'm doing the commentary at #halftime. I'm straight away checking out how my boys have got on. But yeah, I've had a few good finishes. I've had a 5K finish, not the season gone, the season before. Last year wasn't great. I finished outside the top 100K by like 8 places, like 108K or something like 100,008. Like literally outside. I was trying to chase down my brother Spencer, who had a very good season.
Yeah, he had a blinder, didn't he? Yeah.
He did really well. I went really aggressive on the last day, which cost me a top 100K. But I had to give it a roll to try and catch him. That's more important by the end of it. Once my rank had gone a little bit, I went hell for leather. So I had a few good finishes, yeah. But yes, this season, it's getting harder, isn't it, mate? It's getting harder and harder.
So much harder. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be building your team, as always, on the My Team tool. Seb has said it himself, loves the site, which is great to hear. But, you know, you've signed up. You don't have to sign up to try this. This is completely free. Link to do so down below. Plug your own players in like we're about to do with Seb's, and that will give you a team rating percentage, which you can then compare to everyone who's been on the series, including Seb himself. All right, let's start, mate, in goal. Who have you got?
All right, I've got an Anna. I'm not messing around. I've got an Anna. I've played around with a few 4.5s. I'm not having any of them. Flacken has looked disastrous in pre-season. I just can't. I watched a few of the highlights. He's looked so shaky. So I'm not having him. Then a lot of the other 4.5s outside of Pickford, you're not 100% sure on them. So I've just gone for a security. Shaw was in an early draft. I want someone from that United defence for their fixtures. So Anana's in at 5 mil.
There we go. Can't argue with that. Yeah, I actually went to Brentford's last friendly against Lille, and Flecken didn't impress me. I will say that. So I completely agree with you there. Okay. Sub goalie, who have you got? Rotating?
No, look, I've got Areola, West Ham. I think he might get the jersey. Whether it's long term or not, I don't know. There's always a risk there. You get the really high owned 4 million, and you could get a price drop a couple of weeks in. So I might play around with that, but I think he could start. So I think he is where I'm at right now. Yeah, my West Ham boy.
You are the only West Ham fan that we've had on. So I will actually ask you about this. Genuinely, do you think that Areola has a chance of starting? Because people have said it across pre-season. What do you actually think?
Yeah, I've had Fabianski in my FPL team a fair bit over the last sort of 3 or 4 years. But I think he may have started to drop off a little. At the end of the day, West Ham were disastrous in the Premier League. We were great in the Cup. Areola's our Cup goalkeeper. Doesn't take a genius to figure it out. So I reckon he might have a spot there. We've got 2 really good goalkeepers. But I think we've got to mix things up a little bit. I'd probably give Areola a chance now in the league.
Okay, there we go. So, yeah, genuinely a decent chance of starting the season. Right then, moving into the defence. Defence, there's a template forming, but it doesn't have Trent in or even John Stones or a City defender. What do you think about that? I'm interested to see if you've got either Trent or a City defender in here, or you're going for the template.
So I've had both Trent and Stones in my draft, not at the same time, it might be said. But right now, sadly, I'm incredibly template when it comes to the back line. I'll just bang them out if you like me to.
Yeah,
so
go for it.
It's Chilwell, it's Gabriel, and it's Estupiñán. It's not. I'm not proud of it. But you can't go against it right now, I don't think. I am still playing around after some of the recent news. I'm still playing around with putting Trent back in. There is options to do it because I've now got some cash to spend. So, but for right now, he's not there. And even Stones. Stones is the last one to come out. He's been in a lot of my drafts. I've even had most of mine have been 4-4-2. But not today.
So 3 defenders then. Let's round off the defense. 3 starting defenders then is what you're saying. Who is going to be on the bench?
So on the bench, I've got Rico Henry. Although I noticed the flags popped up on him just today. So I'm not, it might have been yesterday. So I've got to keep an eye on that. But I think he rotates quite nicely with the Stupinan for game week 4 and 5 when Brighton's fixtures get a bit worse. So I'm looking at that. The 4.5 is massively up for grabs. I've looked at Colville. I've looked at all sorts of people in that 4.5, mainly around a rotation option. But yeah, for now, Rico Henry's got it. But I am going off Brighton quick. I am going off Brentford fairly quick at the moment.
Why is that, do you think? I mean, I will say Henry didn't take any part in their last pre-season friendly. Again, not entirely sure what's going on there. What's changed with Brentford?
I don't know. I mean, just seeing how many goals they were conceding, Flecken is a part of it. You know, I'll be honest. My honest assessment of Brentford is I've always felt like other people rated them a bit higher than I did. I've always rated Tony. I've always known they've ground out results. I like their strategy. I like their philosophy. But I've never really backed they're a good side. They've obviously done well, but there's something about me. I just always am expecting it to fall apart there. And Buomo's been someone who's been in a lot of my drafts. He's got a flag now, although I think that's just a little dead leg. So he's someone I'm still looking at. But I've got no explanation of it. It's just vibes. My Brentford vibes are low right now. That's all I can say.
Fair enough. I mean, Brentford fans aren't going to like that. But yeah, they're one that I criminally underrate them as well. I always predict them to go down. I have them like back to back, just like an absolute mug. Because
this year again,
really good,
again to go down again this year.
I could never. No.
Okay.
No, I think that would be.
I don't think they'll go down.
No,
I don't think they'll go down. I think they've got some good players and they've got a good system, but I just can't get excited about them without Tony. Sorry.
I understand that. Okay, so last defender, round us off.
Yeah, so it is the man Kabore at Luton. I know the Hub current algorithm doesn't rate him too much, but I think that's waiting to be updated simply because I think he's going to be really attacking. So I think he's one that will kick in quite soon. Again, it's another one open for grabs. I'll do some analysis of preseason minutes, but he looks as good as anyone. He has a blank early on, but he's going to get a double at some point. So it's a fruity option waiting to happen.
Sure thing. Okay, so that is it for the defense. Pretty template, but you gave us a little sneak peek that you might be doing something a little bit different later on in the team. Could it be in midfield? Who have you got?
Yeah, so let's start with it. I mean, it's not incredibly different, but it is different. It's Salah. Salah's in for me at the moment. Salah is in for me. And I think that with some of the forward injuries that have happened, Jesus, et al., the ones that have dropped out more recently, I'm struggling to get excited in the second forward defense. I have position. I've messed it around an awful lot. But in my latest draft, Salah is in. And you know, one of the reasons he's in is because it's going to sound ridiculous, but I don't know if Haaland is as frightening right now as he has been in the past. Like, you know, his recent Premier League games, he hasn't scored a goal, I think it's in 6 matches. He's had an XG of 0.0 in the Charity and the Community Shield game. So the opportunity to go against him in game week 2 when Salah's got Bournemouth at home, I'm now buying into a lot more, especially when I can afford him and still have some other guys I want around him. So yeah, Salah's in currently.
I've just released a video with Bakar, who was also chatting about the merits of going for Salah. That game week 2 fixture, Bournemouth at home. If Haaland isn't looking amazing, I mean, even if he is, I think the upside with Salah, as you say, now that we're not entirely sure that we need to spend as much money across the rest of the team, with other options like Jesus, of course, getting injured, and there might be some cheaper options that we'll see later in your team to facilitate this. The upside in game week 2 of captaining Salah, I cannot question. So yeah, I really like that. Great first pick. Let's carry on.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think the others are going to be fairly expected. We've got Saka, we've got Rashford, we've got Mitoma. The last spot has flirted around between Brian and Buemo, but with my anti-Brentford agenda, I have changed him out recently to Eze, who just looks like the absolute star boy. Some great fixtures. He's on everything. So Eze's come in from Bomo very recently. Again, everything changes if I take Salah out. If I take Salah out, then this other spot can be a number of people, you know, including Maddison. It could be a Grealish, could be a Foden. It could be a Martinelli.
Yeah.
So it really changes around an awful lot. But for now, they are the five in this 3-5-2. Saka, Rashford, Matoma, Salah, and Eze.
I like that. I like that. And Burma is more popular. And
Yes.
before that dead leg, he was doing better on predicted minutes, predicted points. That is. How closely do you pay attention to predicted points as just a stat in general? By the way.
Yeah, I like using it as like a decider. So if I'm torn on something and I can't make a decision myself, and I've looked at some of the stats, and then I often will go to the predicted points to look at it and see how the tools figure it out. But I do like to make my own decisions. I do like to have the final say. And yeah, it's one of them where like it's a penalty taker for a penalty taker. I love getting penalty takers in. I think that's key. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to get Salah in, the reliability of minutes as well. And just the fact that picking a Liverpool attacker that's going to play 2 out of 3 games is just so difficult. And you just know what you're going to get with him. And as soon as I've starting to get confident enough to captain someone else other than Haaland, that for me was it. Because the logic isn't there if you're not going to captain Salah in game week 2. You're not going to do that. It doesn't make sense. You can spread the money better. But yeah, also the other factor in it is being able to be happy with an Estupinan instead of a John Stones or a Henry instead of a Stones. Because again, City have conceded quite a few goals in pre-season. So I'm not entirely convinced. I know they they nearly kept a clean sheet against Arsenal, but they didn't. Not sure he's going to be in goal there at this point. Be interesting to see. I'm sure Edison will get it, but I don't know. So for me, I really want a piece of the Liverpool attack. They're scoring so many goals. Like in general, for years now, their average goals per game is very high. They had that in pre-season. Salah's the guy. He's on the pen, most likely. So I don't like paying 12.5 for him, but Jota, I'd love to have Jota, but haven't got the confidence to take that risk right now. And when the pricing is as it is, that's where I'm at.
Wow. I think the thing as well with Salah is that you can sell him after game week 2. Now, obviously, we don't like to book in transfers, and it would be part of a move to kind of redistribute funds across your team. Perhaps you could then go back to a Martinelli, any of the midfielders you mentioned, and then raise the price of another player up to just go back to the structure that a lot of us are on already. So you don't have to keep him until the first wild card. You can just get rid of him. And yeah, that Bournemouth at home fixture, as I keep mentioning, is so enticing. Just on those 6.5 million mids, if we go by the 4 game week prediction on Fantasy Football Hub, they are all so close in predicted points. They're literally within 2 of each other. Mitoma, March, and Burmo, Eze all predicted to score either 19 or 20 points across the first 4 game weeks. I don't really think you can necessarily go wrong with any of them. What do you think? Do you reckon it just comes down to a bit of a gut pick?
I mean, I think it definitely does. And it comes down to then pens being a big thing. So on that, you could go say you should go and Burmo and Eze, but I don't think anyone wants to go about a Brighton attacker in the first game. I think it is a bit of a coin flip. The thing is, we've seen how often these coin flips cause huge variance. Like some of the things last year, the swings, you get one 50-50 call wrong and it's just catastrophic. So there's going to be tears before bedtime with this no matter what. The only thing I like to do is if you're going to back a 50-50 one, just back with one who's less owned, I think. Although maybe some people go the opposite, back the guy who's owned to be safe at the beginning of the season. I may well end up doing that come deadline. I may well bottle it and just go safe. But I like the idea and I think there's logic there. So I'm happy to make a puntier decision where I can.
Nah, it makes sense to me. I will just say as well, guys, if you want to take advantage of these predicted points and all the Opta stats that I'm showing as Seb chats in this video, then the link to sign up to the site and get access to all of that is down below in the description. Seb said himself he signed up. So if Seb signed up and he's finished top 5k before, I think you should too. 50% off currently if you sign up before the deadline, game week 1. And if you don't win your mini league, you get all your money refunded. That is how confident the Fantasy Football Hub are in their own site. Pretty great stuff. Okay then, mate. Let's move on to the forwards. 24 million in the bank. This is where it has to change a little bit, I think. Well, we'll see. We'll see what you do.
Right. So my sub forward is my hammer and Bama.
Nice.
We haven't signed any players. So we've got Danny Ings, who's made of glass. Antonio, obviously, who's still there, but he's played in a lot of preseason games. I'm not saying I expect him to be a big part of the team long term. I don't even know if we'll start any games, but there's a 4.5 million slot and he's in it currently. Then I've obviously got Erling himself, which leaves me 5.5 million. And I want another piece of that Brighton attack. So I've got João Pedro scored another penalty recently. A lot of my wife's family are Watford fans. They speak highly of him. So I think I don't know if he's going to be a constant, but again, that is the slot that I can see me having to do some jiggly piggly with soon. It will be Salah to someone else, João Pedro up to someone in that 7.5, 8 million bracket. Hopefully, he can save a couple of transfers to do it. That is the only concern. Is you can see the maths now. I've got no money left in the bank. I don't like. I would much rather the safe play is to just move Salah to a Martinelli, upgrade someone in the defense, and then churn him into someone in 8 million, maybe Noddy Watkins. And that could be what I end up doing. But yeah, for now, I'm feeling Salah's vibe. So we'll have to see what happens come Friday. Look, end of the day, if we get a City team league, Alvarez is starting, it's going to be hard to resist. Or Foden's in, it's going to be hard to resist not going there. And we could well get that. So I don't think anyone's draft's locked in until we know whether we get a City team league or not, really, is it?
I completely agree with you. What I love is that this is now not a crazy shout getting João Pedro in. But again, this is the nature of FPL, especially in preseason. It changes so quickly. A week ago, he's in no one's teams, absolutely no one's teams. Even now, only at 7.6% ownership. But I feel like people are starting to cotton on to the fact that he's had a really good preseason. As you mentioned, on penalties, we don't know exactly how many minutes he's going to get, of course, at the start of the year. But in the most recent preseason friendly, he played the full 90 in a preseason friendly. It's quite a big thing, in my opinion.
I do subscribe to that. I do believe that the majority of managers will play their team they intend to play in the first game in the last preseason. And that's why a lot of people, the only exception to that might be the Community Shield, because they want to win that. You could tell how much they wanted to win that. Like Pep's celebration for the first goal, I was like, oh my God, all right, chill out, mate. You just want a treble. Like, this is a Community Shield.
This means more, arguably.
I mean, it was like to get the quadruple or something. But he went so big that I thought he really wants to win this game. And because of the nuance that Man City have, you think that they maybe always pick horses for courses. But I think most managers are picking a team that they want to get rhythm ahead of the first game. So I believe that Brighton's last friendly would be very close, subject to injuries, their starting team against Luton. So with that said, that's where I currently am.
So pretty bullish on two Brighton attackers that started in that game and look good. But it makes sense. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that point.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the team. Now, I don't know if you've already run this through the My Team tool. As you say, you do have a membership to Fantasy Football Hub already. So do you know what your team rating is?
I do. I'll be honest. I genuinely do. I honestly speak very highly of the Hub tools, not just the Rate My Team, but a lot of the different features you can get in there. Especially some of the AI stuff, you can predict transfers or get suggested transfers and stuff. I like using that quite a lot as well. But yeah, of course, I know a lot of the guys probably on this series that you do, and I watch almost all of them. What's my team? They know what their team rating is already. They've already seen. I can see mine in front of me now on my screen. I've already got it saved up, and I play around with it, and I see what transfer I do, how that might change that team rating. And it's also, you can, skip forward to weeks 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, for example, my game week rating for 1 is only 94%. But if I skip forward to 2, it's 99%. So I'm maybe making a sacrifice early on for a bit better score in game week 2. So yeah,
a massive thing being able to see. It's very simple, but Will, the founder of the site, said to me on video, a massive thing for him is just being able to actually visualize the team with the fixtures in the current game week, just seeing how you line up. I remember back in the day, before things like Fantasy Football were a thing, Fantasy Football Hub were a thing, thinking, why don't FPL, like, the actual app, the website, have the ability to toggle to future game weeks and see how your team looks? Such a simple thing. But to me, it makes such a big difference. As you said, 96% team rating is brilliant stuff, but it's not quite 100%. So now we're going to get into your AI recommended transfers. You may already know them, but I want to hear your thoughts on them nonetheless.
Yes. No, I haven't seen them for this draft. So what are we talking about? Give it to me. Enough.
So here we go.
Amazing.
I mean, right, there we go. This is, as I say in every video, just a recommendation based on an algorithm and the AI. But talk to me about that first recommended transfer.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's been in goal for me for the majority of preseason. Flecken has, and I had Shaw. It's only recently I've taken him out. I wanted him to be good, and look, I may be reading too much into preseason, but I've seen him flapping around an awful lot, and they've obviously bought him for a reason. They knew Ray was likely to go. He's a good goalkeeper, I'm sure, so I'm sure he'll come good. I mean, look what happened to some of the Leicester keepers last year. They were terrible, then all of a sudden they were great, and then they were terrible again. So I'm not completely against Flecken finding his way back into my side. I don't think it'll be in game week 1, but it's interesting they've taken one Brighton player in, and also Henry has gone out. Devardio, I don't even know if that's the right pronunciation, but they're suggesting I bring in 2 City defenders. We know how well City rank in defensive stats, so I do get that. But I'm just not as convinced if they're going to be as solid as they've been. They weren't last year, the highest standards they set. I love the idea of having a City player in my team, but a City defender, but it basically means I can get Salah. So if Salah goes, Henry will become a City defender. I don't think it'll be Gvardiol because I'm just not sure if he's gonna start. It will probably be Stones or maybe Diaz, to be honest. But yeah, I have even played around with getting Ederson in and then going back to Shaw potentially, but I don't think I can do that to myself.
Were you one of those that got burnt by him last season as well?
No, I wasn't. I quite enjoyed people getting burnt by that. And my thinking is you can't continue to get burnt by Ederson. So my theory is that a lot of the people that got burnt won't go back there, which means it's an opportunity because it won't keep going wrong. Surely I could just skip that bullet and jump in and take the rewards. But yeah, he definitely, apart from the Champions League final, has not looked himself. He's very high standards. So I'd like to see him play well a little bit before, but I haven't completely ruled it out. It just seems like a lot of cash to spend on a goalkeeper.
Yeah. Well, there we go. The first mention of Gvardiol. Obviously, yeah, I also don't know how to pronounce his name. I need to learn that clearly. Yeah. Obviously, very new to the league, but as you can see, the recommended transfers will keep changing and evolving based on new information we get. And of course, new transfer in is new information. The City defense, obviously, statistically is phenomenal and has been for a number of years. And that is why we see them recommended by the Hub's AI so much. So it does make sense in that regard. But yeah, Onana being the mate quote with Flecken coming in for Gvardiol, who we're not entirely sure is going to start. You know, might not necessarily agree with that, but that is the beauty of the tool. You can look at it and then completely discard it if you want to.
You can refresh it as well. You can say try again.
That's true.
I just have. You can say try again. It's now giving me something completely different.
What's it giving you?
Well, now it's giving me Joel Pedro to Watkins, which makes a lot of sense. Salah to Bruno, and then Kabore to Stones, which, you know, on paper,
wow.
getting rid of Kabore, Salah, and Joel Pedro for Watkins, Bruno, and Stones sounds pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
I guess that is the sort of the deliberation for your team. It's not, you know, all 15 players. It's not even 4 or 5. It's more just if you go for Salah, then João Pedro has to be the one that comes in. So I guess it's kind of Bruno, Watkins, and a little bit more money, or Salah and João Pedro. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those. It's going to go up to the deadline, isn't it, mate? What do you think?
Yeah.
How late in the day is it going to be for you?
Oh, it will be as late as physically possible. I am someone who's got the finger on the trigger, clear my diary around deadline, waiting for every smidge. I'm lucky to have a couple of contacts in the world of football. I can sometimes get a little bit of late team news that I keep very close to my chest. In my little group chat with some of my friends from school, I like giving them the news at like 10:59, 58, and I give them 2 seconds to get it. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to help you. But yeah, no, we have a bit of fun with that. But look, you know, with these things, you never know if it's accurate or not. You got to take a punt. But some sources are better than others. I mean, I watch obviously all of Andy's content, and Andy has got some of his own sources. So normally for me, it's tuning into his deadline stream. Andy's deadline stream is normally the place to go for the late team news. So that's where I normally am come deadline.
Well, there we go. A very good team rating nonetheless. Seb, thank you very much for getting on board with this one. Guys, please do go ahead and check out Seb's golf channel, link below. Great content. You've been doing a lot of stuff recently that's been doing really well. Fair play, mate. You know, people are loving the golf content on YouTube recently, and you're doing super well. Get Seb to 150,000 subscribers. Completely deserves it. And also, best of luck to hashtag this season in all your endeavors. You seem to have so many different teams now doing so well. It's unbelievable. When will the promotion stop? Hopefully never. Yeah, who knows?
Hopefully never. You never know. We'll have to see. It's getting all rather expensive at the moment with these promotions. Yeah, we're having fun with it. We're having a great time. Thanks a lot.
There we go. Great stuff. Nice one, mate. See you guys on the next one.